Pleasure without the trust, it's just a sensation. That space between sexual desires and fantasies is where the hot sex lives. Who doesn't want sex that feels like emotional, spiritual and physical body oneness? That adrenaline, that sweat, that body closeness, that ecstasy that comes from overwhelmness, that increased heart rate and that release of feel-good hormones, that pleasurable synchronicity, that internal and eventually external orgasm, and that silence after in the realm of emotional abundance, sweat and still increased breath, that feeling morning after when you are at work and you still feel him inside of you. Who doesn't want that? A part of pleasure, how fascinating it is to meet your higher self in the sexual world and get to know different parts of your body, mind and soul. The question is how to keep that sex for longer than 2 months. I feel like this is going to be one of my favorite speeches. In my past 2 videos, I mentioned a lot the word vulnerability, as I believe this is one of the most important parts that maintain not only hot sex, but relationship itself. Sex, like relationship, requires vulnerability, risk and accountability. I said as well that people fear to commit for 2 reasons. Fear of losing oneself and fear of losing the other. Sex is a space that engages finding the way to surrender to your existential being and allowing yourself to be fully present in the moment. That is what requires accountability that engages vulnerability. Built and found in the process of getting to know each other. How can I get close to you without losing me? And how can I hold on to me without losing you? Desire is to own the wanting, not wanting to own desire. I think word vulnerability is going to be my next tattoo. And if I say it already out loud, then it's just a matter of time how it's going to happen. Communication is a must. Hot sex doesn't come from exposure, but from vulnerable act of communication that engages traumas and weaknesses. Because how you were loved as a child mirrors itself how you make love as an adult. If you skip any part, that sooner or later will mirror itself in the quality of your sex. As very slowly you will start to lose yourself in your unscripted emotional history that you feared to be vulnerable about. What sooner or later brings people to affairs. Affairs are not about sex, but mostly about looking for parts of oneself one has lost in the relationship. How? By the lack of communicative vulnerability. You fear to be vulnerable about one thing, then another, and another, till one day you start to feel dead, and that deadness brings people to affairs. So affairs are not really about sex, but about the aliveness that comes with it. But you short circuit, because the wave one is on is a flash of light. If there is a high up, there has to be an equal but high low. Vulnerability brings also a lot of novelty. And because we are creatures of meaning that loves to seek unknown, is what keeps the aliveness that reveals itself in sex. Also takes down the walls of sexual boundaries that mostly come from shame, allowing partners to explore not only their sexual desires, but also sexual fantasies. And that space between sexual desires and fantasies is where the hot sex lives. Words has meaning, and wisely used can open the space to places one has dreamed to be. This is why I always say, don't speak just to make sound. You are not an animal but a creature with a free will, and therefore sometimes it's better to keep the silence and dig that will internally rather than speak and make sounds. We need to hold on to the identity and evolve that identity in the relationship with oneself and the other. And because you have been patient, and patience brings reward, let us understand what influences an orgasm by gender. And what I mean is that kind of orgasm that leaves him feeling like a stone, staring at the ceiling, grateful, meaningful and fulfilled. Like you just unlock a part of him he didn't know exists. And this is the richest aspect in human evolution. To discover part of oneself one didn't know exists, where the woman is surprised by the version of a man, and a man is surprised by the version of himself. Because society conditioned us to believe that male experience pleasure in a simple way and always in their control. That's a lie. There is a spot in male's body that once touched, with the right energy and intention, leaves him encounter with himself, something that's beyond an orgasm. You won't find it in porn. Porn lives out of performance, not a depth, and that spot is vulnerability. It is a spot that it's not only psychologically sensitive, it's psychologically forbidden. It's where pleasure meets surrender, and surrender, it's something what male's ego was trained to avoid. Why vulnerability? Because vulnerability requires a deep sense of trust. And pleasure without a trust, it's just a sensation. It is a place where his subconscious mind can step aside so his conscious can rise. Because, ladies and gentlemen, vulnerability rewires male orgasm from something he does to something he allows. And when he allows, he feels. And when he feels, he bonds. Not in a forced way, but in a way that his nerve system can't forget. There is a moment when you start seeing his eyes searching yours. His breath goes heavy. So instead of speeding up, slow down. Allow him to touch where he wants. Match his breath. Start feeling yourself deeper and wait till his body is begging for more, without words. That more shows up in the tension of the muscles and his mind. And then pull back, allowing him to have a space to feel the hunger before you feed it. You're teasing a part of him that's terrified to lose control. And you do it not from the place of manipulation, but from a place of showing him that it's safe to surrender and let go. The spot is connected directly to the prostate, the male G-spot. It's the place of the body where the root chakra anchors survival, and just above sacral center, where the pleasure, creativity, and intimacy lives. It's literally a line between control and surrender. And ladies and gentlemen, whether you're gay or straight, if you do that to him, the pleasure you look for will come to you at the depth you ever wanted. You can't build big things over one night, and even if you do, they are not sustainable. So be patient, kind, and gentle. The reward is big. Be vulnerable and invest. Invest with the right emotional approach that's mature and accountable, rather than manipulative. Invest in your energy, because investing in your energy is an investment in your presence. Invest in yourself before investing elsewhere. Build your values, principles, and rules. They are the language between you and your higher self that dictates your commitment to the future. The future itself and your higher self. Those are values money cannot buy. They have to be earned. And everything that's earned has a big value. And once you earn something within yourself, you will understand that people's feelings are not for fun. Invest. The reward is coming.